You know, and now you're accusing her, you know. So I'm getting in his face, this and that, and he's like, well, yeah, that's true. And he's like, I'm getting out in like a month, and honestly, I don't have anywhere to live. I just came back from a job interview. No one wants to hire me. And I just go, look, I've gotten to know you over the last couple of weeks. Everything I read about in the Bible is I'm supposed to treat you like my brother now. Like, just like I would treat my brother, I'm supposed to treat you. And so I go, I don't know what that means, but my promise is I will walk this path with you. Just don't do anything stupid. You know? Like, don't go back to the old life. God has a plan. There's a reason you ran into me. We'll figure it out. I couldn't figure housing for him. So it's just expensive, whatever. So just went to my wife. I go, honey, I met this guy. I'm going to bring him home. I want to see what you think. And she's like, well, what did he do that put him in prison? I go, I don't know, actually. He doesn't seem that violent, though. Like, but I go, to be honest, honey, on this one, I can't protect the family. He would kick my butt. So I'm no help here. You know, this is going to have to be a God thing. And but you'll meet him, and you help me make the decision, because you know we got 4 daughters at home, and he would be living with us for a while before his family come out, and she saw him, and she says, "You're right, the Spirit's in him." And I'm like, "Look, he's not that bad. Cute little ankle monitor, you know." I go, "What else biblically are we supposed to do, right?" And so we moved his family in with us, and you know we've got 7 of us already in this 1,500 square foot house. We added the 5 of them, so there's like the 12 of us, you know. But good deal. But it was so cool. Like I didn't know where God was taking this thing. You know, I just started discipling him more, just showing him how a family's supposed to work. You know, his wife's like, man, he's 37 years old or 38 years old. You're the first male figure he's had in his life. You know, so he doesn't know any of this. And my wife's discipling her. My kids are discipling his kids. I mean, wow. We became like this one family. And, yeah, seriously. 6 months later, I was able to, you know, he was able to work a job, got him an apartment, I subsidized his rent, everything else. It's been about 2 years. He's a pastor now. He planted a church. Amen. Yeah. I promise you, this guy is making like twice the number of disciples I'm making right now. Wow. He is knocking on doors on the projects, just going, can I pray for you? This guy, man, we've got a whole house full of guys now that he disciples. Man, he's in this 2-bedroom apartment with his wife and 3 kids, and he's having people live with him, you know, on his couch. And I'm going, yeah, you know, and man, I tell you, this guy is going to do huge things for God. Massive things. He already is. I mean, the way people listen to him in the inner city goes way beyond what they say to me, because I don't get that world. I don't understand that world, and he does. And the people that he's discipling are making disciples, and on and on and on. And it's so much fun to see this. I mean, I just love this guy. You know, in 2 years, he's one of my best friends now, the best disciple I've ever had. You know, and then he's brought a whole crew of guys that he's been ministering to that are coming out of prison, coming off the streets, out of rehab, and I'm just falling in love with these guys. And when I look at it, I get it now. I go, okay, Jesus, I get why you did this. I get why you did this. Because I've already doubled my effectiveness through this guy. You know, and then there's other guys I'm discipling. I've got this group of guys now that are pastors. We've started a different form of church where we started last January, and I don't make this real public, but I just started a church out of my house, and I thought, okay, if I start a church, what do you start with? I go, Spirit-filled believers who get it, that understand that, look, we're going to be family now. Like what's mine is yours, and my house, your house, my car is your car, my bank account's your bank account. You know, that doesn't mean you freeload, because if you don't work, the Bible says you shouldn't eat. And there's standards. You know, the Bible says you don't just put any woman on the widow's list. I want to see that she's worked. I want to see that she has been faithful to the Lord. And so it's not just this free-for-all come mooch off of us, but no, we're family now. And we make decisions that way. And I told these people, I go, here's what we're going to do. We're going to meet on Sundays. We're going to gather in my house. It's just like 20 of us. And I go, we're going to read through the Bible together. I know we do the Bible in a year. So this way you're doing your study. We're going to bring something to the table. We're going to talk about the scriptures throughout the day, you know, with each other. We're going to be focused on evangelism. We're going to ask, how many of you guys shared the gospel this week? Right. The success of the church is based upon not how many people show up, how many shared the gospel. The gospel come out of your lips. Because think about it, in the average church of 1,000 people, how many of those 1,000 that week do you think actually shared the gospel with an unbeliever? Right? And yet we cheer because 1,000 people, 1,000 salespeople in the room that didn't even try to make a sale the week before. Wow. And I'm going, no, I don't care how many, but whoever's here, I want to know that you're speaking the gospel. You're praying for unbelievers. This is the mission. We're on a mission. You know? And I tell these guys too, I go, look, I'll lead this, but I will only be your pastor for 6 months to a year. Within 6 months to a year, we're going to split this thing into 2 churches. I'll be discipling some guys, and they are going to be leading the next iteration of this, so that it's not like this thing where you can, it's not like a dad with these kids where I go, hey, just live with me till I die. I go, that's the old model of church, where, hey, just sit under my teaching until you die, you know? And it's like, no, I want you out of the house. You know, I'm training you to work your own job. I'm training you guys to start your own gatherings. And so I'm saying, look, you guys, I don't want you 40 years old in my basement playing Xbox, you know, living off my money. You know, I'm training you. And so I'm looking at some of these guys, I go, you're the leaders of the next ones. You know, Sean, the guy out of prison, I go, you're going to be one of those guys. And so you better listen and watch everything I'm doing, because 6 months, a year from now, you're in charge of half the group, and you two, you're in charge of the other half. And sure enough, 9 months later, we split into 2 groups. And then this Sunday, actually, we're splitting into 4 now. And I go, if we split like this every 9 months, in about 10 years, we'll have 1 million people. If you do the math. Chinese? Yep. About 1.2 million. It's that type of, I mean, obviously, there's a ton of faith in that. Like, God, I don't know if you're going to raise up these leaders, but it forces people, like, you've got to be growing into the next position. You've got to be looking for that next apprentice. And guess what? It costs nothing. Wow. This is all, you can shepherd 15 to 20 people while you're working, you know, especially if there's 2 of you, and you just break it up into 6 people each or something like that, and you're making disciples who are making disciples, it can work. And I'm going, man, if you can do a 20-member church for free, and a 100-member church costs about 150 grand, Chinese man says, why don't I just do 5 20-member churches for free? You know? And it forces the discipleship, it forces the leadership. Wow. And then I told the guys, I go, look, this is way back, you know, way back, this was last January. I go, look, when we split, you guys are going to hate me, because we're going to be so close. We're going to feel like a family, and you're not going to want to split into 2 churches. But for the sake of the mission, you're going to have to understand we're here just for a short while, and we're going to keep this going. Otherwise, we'll become this ingrown, you know, church. And we're going to pray that God just keeps multiplying this thing. And we're still figuring out. That's why I don't make this thing all public. Like, hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm telling you guys, and I'm not even saying this is the way to do it. I'm just saying I started over, and I was able to just release myself from the certain expectations and the way of doing it, and go, what would I do biblically? I think I would just start making disciples. And so my wife and I are talking about starting another one, you know, out of our house. And so I'm just walking down the street, you know, or actually I started jogging, you know. And I only call him like 3 times. But